Propaganda Tools by Meredith Shaw. The Conversation published yesterday 5:30 p.m. Rusabia, Wikimedia Commons, licensed under CC by SA 2.0, Meredith Shaw. The Conversation Share Tweet Email Reddit Print Share Tweet Email Reddit Print with colorful rhetoric about dotids and nuclear buttons. North Korean propaganda is attracting attention around the world. Outside observers can now easily access some of this propaganda by visiting regime-sponsored websites. These have, in turn, spawned foreign feeds like the excellent KCNA Watch media aggregator and satirical sites such as Kim Jong-un Looking at Things. However, there's another side to North Korean political messaging, one directed at the domestic population. Difficult to access and written in a highly stylized, dogmatic prose, North Korea's domestic propaganda is not only largely ignored abroad, but it's also difficult for even South Koreans to understand. It includes state-sponsored Chosun Central TV broadcasts, state-produced films, and revolutionary operas and ballads. But one of the more illuminating forms of internal propaganda is the regime's state-produced fiction. Published in monthly literary journals, these stories are distributed by the ruling Korean Workers' Party to select schools and offices around the country. In an effort to make this internal propaganda more accessible to non-Koreans, I have been translating and blogging about selected works of North Korean fiction as part of my research on North Korean cultural politics. These stories can offer outsiders revealing insights into the regime's shifting concerns and priorities, which include a recent campaign to reinforce the legitimacy of their young leader, Kim Jong-un. No other autocratic regime today has such a well-developed stable of artists and writers producing works aligned with the party's ideological needs. The ruling Korean Workers' Party has an extensive bureaucracy in charge of training talent, defining standards and commissioning projects in literature and other branches of the arts. Like most professionals within North Korea, fiction writers belong to their own organization within the ruling Korean Workers' Party, the Chosun Writers Union. The party, therefore, has direct control over what gets written about and which themes get emphasized. Works of fiction are published in one of a handful of monthly literary journals, the most prestigious of which is Korean Literature, produced by Chosun Literature and Art Union Publishing. Other journals include Children's Literature, Youth Literature and Literary Newspaper. Within the Chosun Writers Union, the most elite authors comprise the April 15th Literary Production Unit. This group has produced all the major works dramatizing the personal histories of the leaders, including the Immortal History Pulmyeolui Yoksa and Immortal Leadership Pulmyeolui Hyangju series, which constructed the official hagiography of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, respectively. The list of authorship of new fiction about Kim Jong-un reveals many well-known names from these series, including Kim Sam-bok, Bak Bo-hum and Chung Ki-jong. Chung, one of North Korea's most well-known contemporary authors, passed away in 2016, but not before penning the short story Sky, Earth and Sea, which details Kim Jong-un's role in the NHA and Gwang Myeong-song satellite launches. Since consumer demands and preferences are irrelevant to the creation of North Korean fiction, it cannot be evaluated as a reflection of the average North Korean's underlying social anxieties, which is how a cultural anthropologist might study literature. Through interviews with North Korean defectors living in Seoul, I found that most North Koreans don't spend their leisure time reading these journals for fun. Many, however, told me that they had been exposed to these stories at some point in school. The anthropologist's loss, however, is the political scientist's gain. North Korean fiction offers a window into the ruling party's priorities that's just as informative as its official, externally directed propaganda. Many of these stories dramatize events in the leaders' lives. Some are morality tales that showcase characters who embody certain socialist ideals. Others reflect concerns about the geopolitical landscape, and, not surprisingly, American leaders sometimes make guest appearances. Chung Ki-jong's most famous novel, Ryoksurui Taraha, depicts President Bill Clinton cowering under blankets during the 1994 nuclear crisis. Another short story from around that time, Mayhawk, tells the story of President Jimmy Carter's famous 1994 visit from the perspective of his wife Rosalind, as she meets and is smitten with the great leader Kim Il-sung. More recently, however, stories have centered on one subject, Kim Jong-un. Kim was formally designated as successor in September 2010. Prior to that, his very existence had been virtually unknown to the general public within the country. In a country where schoolchildren ritualistically memorize idealized accounts of the leader and his ancestors, it must have been mind-boggling to see a new leader on TV that they knew almost nothing about. The regime had to rush to put together a personal legend worthy of the grandson of the nation's founder. The first works of fiction to mention Kim by name appeared in early 2013, over a year after he succeeded his late father as leader. In these stories, there's a marked thematic shift, with an emphasis on youth, creativity and innovation. For example, the 2017 short story Blossoming Dreams, by Kim Il-soo, depicts the young leader as a talent scout of sorts. He finds gifted young artists and architects and encourages them to participate more fully in various national construction projects. At one point, he pontificates to one of his advisors about the value of youthful thinking. Our future as a socialist nation of culture will not be built by architects and experts alone. It will require all our citizens to become gardeners and creators, adorning our country with beauty. And it is the young generation that must stand up to bring about this bright future. Lately, I hear the saying everything's getting younger, but isn't that wonderful, this era is young, and our people are getting younger. References to new luxuries and recreational facilities are another notable feature of recent stories. Since Kim became supreme leader, he has poured resources into developing Western-style amusements such as water parks and ski resorts. One such site, the Runga People's Pleasure Ground, attracted international media attention after Kim Jong-un toured the facility in 2012 on his first official photo op with his new wife. An ode to the Runga Park appeared in literary newspaper in October 2012, celebrating it as the creation of heaven and earth following the leader's path. In Blossoming Dreams, Kim Jong-un's faithful minister of architecture recalls how the young leader suffered in the summer heat and fierce winds when touring the site of the soon-to-be-opened theme park. A similar prestige project is the new Changjon Street complex in Pyongyang, which features gleaming, high-rise apartment buildings and sports facilities. In Teacher, a short story published in 2013, a family of schoolteachers is thrilled to receive notice that they have been given a spacious new apartment in the Changjon complex. The family is surprised to learn they made the list. It's well known that the first apartments were supposed to go to workers and innovators. Later it becomes clear that Kim Jong-un personally directed that some apartments be set aside for educators as well, as part of a general priority for cultivating the next generation. North Korean fiction, of course, shouldn't be interpreted as a realistic depiction of actual conditions within the country. But by reading between the lines, one may discern clues to the regime's internal concerns, along with the messages it is most eager to convey to its captive domestic audience. Meredith Shaw, Ph.D., candidate in the Politics and International Relations, University of Southern California, Dornsife College of Letters, Arts and Sciences. This article first appeared on The Conversation. We welcome your comments at letters@scroll.in. Sponsored content by published November 20, 2017, 12:01 p.m. Shutterstock Share Tweet Email Reddit Print Share Tweet Email Reddit Print. At the Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, visitors don't have to worry about navigating their way across the complex hospital premises. All they need to do is download wayfinding tools from the installed digital signage onto their smartphone and get step-by-step directions. Other hospitals have digital signage in surgical waiting rooms that share surgery updates with the anxious families waiting outside, or offer general information to visitors in waiting rooms. Many others use digital registration tools to reduce check-in time or have smart TVs in patient rooms that serve educational and anxiety-alleviating content. Most of these tech-enabled solutions have emerged as hospitals look for better ways to enhance patient experience, one of the top criteria in evaluating hospital performance. Patient experience accounts for 25% of a hospital's value-based purchasing VBP score as per the U.S. government Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services CMS program. As a McKinsey report says, hospitals need to break down a patient's journey into various aspects, clinical and non-clinical, and seek ways of improving every touchpoint in the journey. As hospitals also need to focus on delivering quality healthcare, they are increasingly collaborating with entrepreneurs who offer such patient-centric solutions or encouraging innovative entrepreneurship within the organization. At the Hospital Leadership Summit hosted by Abbott, some of the speakers from diverse industry backgrounds brought up the role of entrepreneurship in order to deliver on patient experience. Speakers such as Dr. Naresh Trian, Chairman and Managing Director, Medanta Hospitals, and Meena Ganesh, CEO and MD, Portia Medical, who spoke at the panel discussion on a We Fit for the World of New Consumers, highlighted the importance of collaborating with entrepreneurs to fill the gaps in the patient experience ecosystem. As Dr. Trian says, as healthcare service providers we are too steeped in our own work. So even though we may realize there are gaps in customer experience delivery, we don't want to get distracted from our core job, which is healthcare delivery. We would rather leave the job of filling those gaps to an outsider who can do it well. Meena Ganesh shares a similar view when she says that entrepreneurs offer an outsider's fresh perspective on the existing gaps in healthcare. They are therefore better equipped to offer disruptive technology solutions that put the customer right at the center. Her own venture, Portia Medical, was born out of a need in the hitherto unaddressed area of patient experience, quality home care. There are enough examples of hospitals that have gained significantly by partnering with or investing in such ventures. For example, the Children's Medical Center in Dallas actively invests in tech startups to offer better care to its patients. One such startup produces sensors smaller than a grain of sand, that can be embedded in pills to alert caregivers if a medication has been taken or not. Another app delivers caregivers at customers' doorstep for checkups. Providence St. Joseph's Health, that has medical centers across the U.S., has invested in a range of startups that address different patient needs, from patient feedback and wearable monitoring devices to remote video interpretation and surgical blood loss monitoring. UNC Hospital in North Carolina uses a change management platform developed by a startup in order to improve patient experience at its emergency and dermatology departments. The platform essentially comes with a friendly and non-intrusive way to gather patient feedback. Hospitals can also encourage a culture of entrepreneurship within the organization. According to Meena Ganesh, this would mean building a listening organization because, as she says, listening and being open to new ideas leads to innovation. Santosh Desai, MD CEO, Future Brands Limited, who was also part of the panel discussion, feels that most innovations are a result of looking at large cultural shifts, outside the frame of narrow business. So hospitals will need to encourage enterprising professionals in the organization to observe behavior trends as part of the ideation process. Also, as Dr. Ram Narain, Executive Director, Kokila Bendirabai Ambani Hospital, points out, they will need to tell the employees who have the potential to drive innovative initiatives, do not fail, but if you fail, we still back you. Innovative companies such as Google actively follow this practice, allowing employees to pick projects they are passionate about and work on them to deliver fresh solutions. Realizing the need to encourage new ideas among employees to enhance patient experience, many healthcare enterprises are instituting innovative strategies. Henry Ford System, for example, began a system of rewarding great employee ideas. One internal contest was around clinical applications for wearable technology. The incentive was particularly attractive, a cash prize of $10,000 to the winners. Not surprisingly, the employees came up with some very innovative ideas that included a system to record mobility of acute care patients through wearable trackers, health reminder system for elderly patients, and mobile game interface with activity trackers to encourage children towards exercising. The employees admitted later that the exercise was so interesting that they would have participated in it even without a cash prize incentive. Another example is Penn Medicine in Philadelphia, which launched an innovation tournament across the organization as part of its efforts to improve patient care. Participants worked with professors from Wharton Business School to prepare for the Ideas Challenge. More than 1,750 ideas were submitted by 1,400 participants, out of which 10 were selected. The focus was on getting ideas around the front end, and some of the submitted ideas included checkout management, exclusive waiting rooms with TV, internet and other facilities for patients waiting to be discharged so as to reduce space congestion and make their waiting time more comfortable. Space for emotional privacy, an exclusive and friendly space for individuals and families to mourn the loss of dear ones in private. Online Patient Organizer, a web-based app that helps first-time patients prepare better for their appointment by providing checklists for documents, medicines, etc. to be carried and giving information regarding the hospital navigation, the consulting doctor, etc. Help for non-English speakers, iconography cards to help non-English speaking patients express themselves and seek help in case of emergencies or other situations. As Alan Myers, MD, President and CEO of the Society of Physician Entrepreneurs, says in a report, although many good ideas come from the front line, physicians must also be encouraged to think innovatively about patient experience. An academic study also builds a strong case to encourage entrepreneurship among nurses, given they comprise a large part of the frontline staff for healthcare delivery. Nurses should also be given the freedom to create and design innovative systems for improving patient experience. According to a Harvard Business Review article quoted in a university study, employees who have the potential to be entrepreneurs show some marked characteristics. These include a sense of ownership, perseverance, emotional intelligence, and the ability to look at the big picture along with the desire and ideas to improve it. But trust and support of the management is essential to bringing out and taking the ideas forward. Creating an environment conducive to innovation is the first step to bringing about innovation-driven outcomes. These were just some of the insights on healthcare management gleaned from the Hospital Leadership Summit hosted by Abbott. In over 150 countries, Abbott, which is among the top 100 global innovator companies, is working with hospitals and healthcare professionals to improve the quality of health services. To read more content on best practices for hospital leaders, visit Abbott's Bringing Health to Life portal here. This article was produced on behalf of Abbott by the Scroll.in marketing team and not by the Scroll.in editorial staff.